folks, what is happening? Welcome to episode 27 of Mentality Monsters. We have Finney. It is very.
I don't know why, but I have an affinity for 27.
I was about to say that. Is there
don't know what. Just like 27.
Like
so here you go,
27?
number 27. Brilliant.
Number 27. A guy who we've wanted on since probably the start of the podcast. We had our short list of people that we were wanting to get on, and we finally got you on. I've wanted to have you on actually since probably May, but then again, my work circumstances and going away and stuff like that there. And you're a busy fella.
Yeah. It's
so
hard sometimes to make it all match, Kate, isn't it?
It is.
Like, it's not good. It's good that we're all busy like that.
100%.
That's part of a nice round lifestyle, which we'll talk about here.
And just a bit of background for anybody that doesn't know, but everybody in Belfast knows who Chris Suitor is. I'd say everyone in Northern Ireland knows who Chris Suitor is. Businessman, owns a tailoring shop, coffee truck, coffee shop, Suitor Airbnb, is it? Or
yeah,
is it
Suitor Cottage, the Donegal thing, yeah. It's my favourite out of them all. See, if you ever want to look up into my business, this is the camera, isn't it? Here?
Oh, yeah.
If you ever want to look up into my business, the wee cottage, Suitor Cottage up in Donegal, is just that's my passion project.
What's so important about it, or what's so significant about Suitor Cottage?
Well,
for you?
obviously the rest of them are all businesses, and they all run like a business, so they've all got the input cost, and they've all got all the background stuff you need to do to run a proper business. The cottage is just pure class. Bought this wee cottage in Donegal, done it up. It's beside the Singing Pub, if anybody's ever know the Singing Pub. And it was never bought as a business. It was bought as a holiday home for me and the wife. I've had an affinity for Donegal since it was knee-high to a grasshopper. And,
best county on the island, I think. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
See, if you want to talk about love, right? I've got my wife and my kids and my dogs, and then we've got Donegal, right? Honestly, that's how far up my life it comes. So the only wee place up there is incredible, and the wee house just kind of lended itself well to be let out because it's right beside the Singing Pub. Lots of people know it's on Atlantic Drive, and I decided one day after I got a knock at the door from a lovely fella called Colin, who sadly isn't with us anymore. This guy Colin knocked the door, seen we were doing it up, and he ran a property company around the area. And he goes, how you doing? My name's Colin. My name's Chris. It's Chris. Just want to let you know, if you ever want to let this house out, there's my card. Give me a number. Never thought anything more about it. And then it's the entrepreneur, the business person, he goes,
planted a
seed. How
seed.
much you'd get for this place? Rang him, done a few numbers, which literally I'm not going to tell you any numbers, right? But it literally blew my mind. It's one of the most profitable things that I have in my life, to be fair, is our wee cottage. It's just incredible.
So what is it? Is it Airbnb or do you rent it?
It's an Airbnb, but we don't use Airbnb. I just use my socials. I just use my Instagram. And thankfully, we've let it out now for about 2.5 years, and it has never been empty. Like, so it keeps going, and it's a word of mouth thing too. People keep talking about it and keep sharing videos of it, and then you go up and stay, and then you tell your auntie and uncle, who tells their mates, and Donegal through COVID got really popular. Just because it's so close to Northern Ireland, it's so close to Belfast. You're 2.5 hours. In fact, you're from where I am. You're 2 hours exactly from my shop to my cottage because of that new road. So local and so beautiful, because it is, as they call it, the forgotten county. There's lots of it, Caine, that's so untouched.
It's massive.
It
is.
Class.
It's a very big
it's
county.
So
as well.
wild. The minute you're close to home, but you're far away, and it's just so beautiful. See to have the wee place up there, Caine. It's like that's the apple of my eye. It really is. So I have another project going on up there at the minute, which is where we are right now filming this podcast. The guy behind here is doing a shipping container for me, which is going to be incredible, and that's just to let me share the Donegal experience for more people. So
can you let us know exactly what you have in works there with?
So I've got this beautiful 32x10 shipping container that we're making into like a container home. It's going to be super high end. It's going to be lovely, and it's being placed not far from where the cottage is, so looking out over the sea in the middle of the hills and all that sort of stuff. And it's again, it's going to be another cracker. And again, that's good for me and the family too, because the wee cottage is so popular, and it's very, very well let every year. Whenever my wife can maybe take a bit of time off the cafe and my kids are maybe off school, a lot of the time I've the house let out. So we can't even go to our own house, which is a downside. And it is a downside of it.
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons, mate. But being, from business, you gotta take the money. That was one of my dad's pieces of snippets of information to me. Son, whenever you get in the business, 3 rules: take the money, and take the money. So that's where we're at with it.
That's not a bad motto.
That's a good motto, isn't it?
That's not a bad motto.
It is. Because it's sometimes you get lost in business, Caine, and you forget about what's most important. And there's definitely over the years been a bit of a a negative slant or a negative slur put on profit. You know, because it's if you're
in business for a reason.
Greedy businessman.
Yeah.
But this is the thing: profit is what keeps a business alive. That's what keeps the roof over your head, keeps the doors open, keeps your mortgage paid, keeps your staff's wages paid, keeps the tax man away from throwing you in jail. Profit is good. You know, I was watching Wall Street last night. Have you ever seen Wall Street?
No.
With Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas. No, like one of the biggest, most epic films of the late 80s. And it was all about that kind of 80s yuppie lifestyle and the traders in America on Wall Street and New York. And
anything like the Wolf of Wall Street?
Like, well, Wolf of Wall Street would have got a lot of its cues from Wall Street, right? And one of the main takeaways from Wall Street is Gordon Gekko's slogan that greed is good. Do you know? And back then it was like, whoa, this is huge. Greed is good. And you can get T-shirts now with it. Greed is good. Like, you can spin that whatever way you want, but essentially I kind of break that down to profit is good.
Yeah.
And you know, you never want to rip anybody off, but you have to be able. Your businesses have to be profitable.
Yeah.
So yes, take the money, and take the money. That's 3 good rules to run your business by.
Like we were talking before, so your dad said are originally from Monaghan.
So I'm half Monaghan, half Belfast. Mum was sort of Dundonald and Braniel direction. Dad was from Newbliss in Monaghan. Suitor family came up here just in the late 60s. Let me see, he was born in 52, so 65, 66. Suitor family came north. It was getting a wee bit.
What a place to come in the 60s.
But a wee bit iffy down there in Monaghan. We were obviously from the Presbyterian side, and Monaghan and where he was like, and everybody you know the crack. Everybody got on all right, but it was starting to get a wee bit sticky, and it was hard enough for the Presbyterians to get work down there. So they came up north and landed in Dundonald because a previous family member had came up to Dundonald, and that's kind of where everybody settled since Caine.
And did he have a business in Monaghan at that time?
No, again, very, very poor family. You know, it is your typical rags to riches story. That a wee small farm, as most people did back then, just above Ahabad. My grandfather worked the farm, although he was fond of the booze. It was a bit of a nightmare for my granny. God love my wee granny. Rest her soul, my granny Suitor. She was just your typical hard-working mother of 9. She had to do the running of the farm mostly too, because Granda was generally in the flipping pub drinking or whatever else. Really, really hard life. Hard life. Kids had, you know, your usual one shoe between 10 of them and all. Like, literally, that is the life my dad's family had. It was hard, but lots of love at the same time too, and lots of family, and you know, the whole area always got behind each other, because Monaghan and Cavan, we talked about Donegal being a forgotten about county. Within the island of Ireland, I think because Monaghan and Cavan are so close to the north there, they get forgotten about as well. And it did build a really, I find Monaghan.
They are in Ulster as well.
They're in Ulster as well. Exactly.
So the 9 counties of Ulster.
So, you know, you could argue that they were forgotten about too, and what it did for me, and I've kind of studied this over the years, because I'd be up and down to Monaghan very, very regularly, seeing old family friends, and back down to the old wee church and all would go to. And it has built a very resilient type of person. As in Donegal people, super resilient. Monaghan and Cavan people, I find, are really resilient and really entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
You know, you see in Monaghan, like all our family friends from down there, I think practically every single one of them have their own business. Now, some of them are making millions, some of them are just making a living, some of them are just getting by, you know? But they're
taking the initiative and
doing their own thing. So that was kind of bred into my family, and into my dad and his brothers and his sisters. Like, every one of them have done their own business. Came up to Dundonald, set up home down there. My granda went to work for Campbell College as like a groundsman. So the
entire family moved up? Your granda, the lot?
Yeah, granda, granny, all 9 of the kids. Yeah, 3 brothers, 6 sisters. They all moved up. And they settled on the Cumber Road, and that's actually where my dad met my mum. They lived opposite each other. So the Cochrans, my mum's a Cochran, and the Cochran family lived on one side of the Cumber Road, Suitor family lived on the other side of the Cumber Road, like literally directly across the road. So that's where they met, and they met quite young, and Dad got into the men's tailoring business because he really, really, really liked suits, and he's seen a wee bit of a niche, because obviously he was called Suitor, our name, but will you hear, Caine? My granny was Tailor. I'm not joking you. She was Rachel Tailor, right? Yeah, Betty Tailor. So Betty Tailor married Sammy Suitor. Both of them got together, had kids, And my dad, he was Tom, or he's still alive. My dad's Tom. He's Tom Suitor.
That's what I was going to ask you, just because it's such a coincidence,
isn't it?
being called Suitor and you own a tailor shop.
It's brilliant, Caine, because it's really, see, whenever I started to promote the business and get out into the public sphere as I am and as I do to get the shot, because again, I've used social media and used the media and the radio and the TV to try and spread the name.
It's a good tool.
It's a good tool. It is, Caine, and
if
you know what?
It's a good tool.
You know, word of mouth and the old kind of paper advertising was good for a while, but then once social media and the age of the internet came through, you know, our business was kind of underneath it and didn't even like my brother and my dad, who were still in the business whenever I joined, didn't see it as an outlet for bringing business to, you know, bringing business in. I seen the other way, so that's when I got involved, started doing all the social stuff, and it's brilliant. It's taken our business to a whole crazy different level, which is great. But where was I going with that before I started talking about that?
So I think we were talking about...
Where was I going with that? I was talking about your dad. Yes, Dad seen the name as a good way of getting himself in the industry. So he went to work
It's a good way of thinking.
Isn't he? I'm Tom Suitor. I need to get into suits. And he'd always liked his clothes. And I suppose being from a really poor family, like they didn't have good clothes at all. You know, it was all proper hand-me-down stuff. So he's seen this as a way of trying to create and make himself, you know, lift himself up, upscale his life, get a better life for him and his family. And he went to work for a company called John Collier's in Belfast. They trained him up. He then went from there to another shop called Gentry, which, by the way, I must show you after the podcast. I just came across a BBC archive footage of my dad in Gentry meeting the Secretary of State or whatever it was. And I can remember my dad in Gentry as a kid, but with no pictures, there's no camcorder footage, there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, this wee video popped up on the internet, and there's my dad with a double-breasted suit and the hair slicked back. He's baldy now, with the hair slicked back. And of course, my dad was 38 at the time, so he was my age. And see, to have that wee bit of footage of my dad back in the day doing this thing, it's lovely. Yeah, it's lovely. So from then, he went out on his own in '92. And that was Suitor Menswear. He opened it in Belfast in Rosemary Street. As you know, I do a lot of stuff on social media and on the media about trying to make Belfast better, and about the state of the city and stuff. I'm very, very vocal on that. Back then, now, when you hear this, this is incredible. Back then, Dad wanted to open a shop. The only shop that was available to him was a little shop in Rosemary Street, which is just off Royal Avenue. So this is '92. This is the difference between Belfast 2024, 25 and Belfast in '92. You drive into the city now, there is vacant unit upon vacant unit upon vacant unit upon vacant unit. Back then in '92, my dad had one shop to choose from. Tom, you want to open a shop in Belfast? That's the only one you've got. And the guy who owned the building knew that and says, right, Tom, if you want this shop, you need to sign a 25-year lease with upward-only rent reviews every single 5 years. 25 years, Caine. That was all there was. My dad had to take it. So he signed the lease, put the house against it. So we had a wee house in Dundonald, put the house against it as collateral, signed the 25-year lease.
It's taking a risk.
That's taking a risk. Personally guaranteed that he was going to make money out of that shop for 25 years.
What age did you start in that shop?
I started in 2011, so it was a brief history of me. Brought up in Dundonald, nice, lovely style, lovely, hard-working family, entrepreneurial family. Didn't have a whole lot of money, but we done okay. I take a jacket off, and it's warm. It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
Nice and toasty.
This is them lights. This is
them boys outside are freezing there.
Put my container home. Is this warm? So shout out to Nathan if Nathan's looking at it. I want it as warm as this, bro. Yeah, so went to Dundonald Primary. After that, went to Grosvenor Grammar School, which is over sort of Castlereagh direction. Had a great time there. I was the class clown, but I also was pretty sharp. So I was the one they all hated, Caine, because I could literally mess about every single day of the week and still get really good grades. So went from Grosvenor to Queen's. Actually, in upper sixth, I got a scholarship in Nortel Networks, which was a tech firm. Back then, obviously, electrical engineering was huge. It was really, so this is back, let me see. I graduated in 2006. This would have been about 2001, 2002. Back then, Nortel were flying. They took me on as part of their technical academy, which meant they paid me a wage, and they also paid for me to go through uni. But what it meant was I had to work for them after uni, and I had to work for them during the off or the time we had off. Nortel went bust halfway through my uni course, so obviously lost my technical academy place, which was fine. But by then they'd already given me a ton of money, and at 18-year-old, getting paid to go to uni, and then getting paid off. Like, I mean, they paid me a fortune, Caine, back then for like a 17, 18-year-old with no skills. What they were trying to do with their technical academy. They took 30 students every year, and they tried to buy the loyalty of those students.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't have to sign a contract, as in, if at the end of the 4 years uni course and then paying me the whole way through it and paying my fees, I could have walked away.
Yeah.
Bizarre. But anyway, it was good for us, right? So they went bust. When they went bust, I was like, right, do I really want to sit in an office in front of a computer and do like ASIC design, chip software design, or do I want to do something that I want to do? And I was always big into my cars. My first ever job was a summer job when I was 16, working for my uncle William, who was Suitor Motors, doing valeting. And I got into cars, and I was always changing the suspension, doing a wee bit of engine stuff, changing the interiors, putting on alloy wheels and spoilers and all that sort of stuff. And me and my then best friend Chris Quinn at uni started up a little car business, a car audio business at Queen's, right? And we called it SQ Design, Suitor and Quinn. And that took off like a scalded cat.
What age were you at this?
We were 17 at that time. So, we were 17. Yeah, we're 17. No, 18. 18, we're 18, because I'd done a full year uni. And then we started the business when we were 18. That business went from strength to strength. So we were fitting out car stereo systems. So you brought your car to us, Caine, because back then, cars didn't have screens, they didn't have subs, didn't have good speakers, they were crap. So we'd take out your head unit, take out your speakers, build really nice speaker pods to fit bigger speakers, do a full what's called a boot build, where you put subwoofers and amplifiers with neon lights and fancy capacitors and stuff in the boot. Then a head unit, maybe with a flip out screen, and then you go to all the car shows and do sound offs and all that sort of stuff. We got really well in with that, and we're working at my garage, my mum and dad's garage, and his mum and dad's garage. Went from strength to strength at the end of uni, finished my degree, but we then took a gamble and started doing body work, right? So it went then from fitting stereos in mum's garage to actually painting cars and fitting body kits.
I never would have thought that.
I know, and then that took off, right? So that took off and was going really, really well. And again, we were maybe 19 at this age and making loads of dough, working out of mum and dad's garage and going, do you know what, we could actually make a proper go of this. So I got to the end, finished uni. Quinn didn't finish uni, he pulled out, and he just came to work with me full time. We opened up a car workshop in Monterey. Hold on to get this right in my own timeline. We opened it up in our final year uni, right? We left uni, but I stayed in uni and I still completed my exams. I was again just one of them guys, Caine. I was still friendly with the guys in uni. I got the past papers and what we thought was going to be on the uni exams, and I blitzed it and managed to get a degree out of it. It wasn't a great degree, but I got a degree out of it. Anyway, finished it, got my BEng, and we had a car business running up in Monterey. And that went from strength to strength. We then opened up a new one in 2004 in Saintfield, a big 5,000 square foot place. Doing car accident repair and doing the fancy max power body kit stuff and doing the hydraulic suspension and all that sort of stuff. We were pimping my ride. I've got lots of media coverage. We're in the paper. We're on the TV.
What year would this have been?
Best days. That would have been, no, because I left. Yeah, no, it would have been 07, 08. Yeah, we got the big place. We started SQ in 06. We started in 06 and we ran it to 2011. So, but it was the best time of my life, Caine. Oh my goodness, not a care in the world. We were making lots of money, spending lots of money. But one of the things we weren't doing was paying the HMRC or the VAT man. And it all came tumbling down, Caine, towards the end of 2011 when the debts just got flipping too much. Now, it wasn't a fortune, but it was enough that I started to ask myself the question, do I really want to do this? Because, as much as I had an upbringing in an entrepreneurial family and I had an upbringing in business, a lot of it went in one ear and out the other. I was just concerned with take the money, right? But at no point was I thinking, right, take the money, and by the way, pay Mr. HMRC and pay flipping VAT man, right? So anyway, he clamped down on us, and the business more or less was going out of flipping business. But there was enough in it for one partner, right? So me and Quinn decided to go our separate ways. There was enough for him to make a living and still pay back the debts, right? Yeah. So I signed everything over to him.
Why?
On March 2011. Here's the crack. So March 2011, let me see, Christmas 2010, which was coming in 2011. Anytime I closed the workshop down, I still worked in the menswear shop, right? So from I've been 13, I've been working in the family business. So it was Christmas 2010, and I was still working in the men's shop, and we're on our way home. Me and my dad were walking with 2 shops then, one in Upper Arthur Street, one in Rosemary Street, and we're walking around. And my dad just stopped me walking around, and he seen the pressure I was under with the car business, with the debts and stuff like that, and just how hard it was to make a living at it, Caine. You know, it was money in this. It was money in this hand, and if you spent it, it was great. But see, because you weren't taken out of it, you had to pay everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, that's where the lesson was learnt. You know, whenever you started running it as a proper business, it was actually just about wiping his face.
Yeah.
But I was still buying turbos and buying big wheels from a Skylines and buying and selling cars that were going out of fashion.
Went out and drunk much or anything
No,
like that?
again, no, I just worked. Just worked. Yeah, again, I was doing
no distractions.
70, 80 hours a week up in that workshop. We were there at 11, 12 o'clock at night. I had just got married in April 2010. Me and Nicola then were looking to have a kid. So my dad kind of took it upon himself, walking around. He says, son, I just got to stop you. So we went for a wee drink, and he says, right, here's the crack. He says, you keep fucking about with them cars and you're getting nowhere. I've had a chat with William. You're good at this job, right? You're good at the suits. Would you want to come in as a partner? He says, I'm not looking to do another flipping 10 years this game. I want out. So would you want to come in as a partner with your brother, and we'll work out a deal and stuff like that about how you buy in, etc., etc. And you know what? I'd been thinking about trying to get out of the cars for a wee bit because I had the family, I had the wife, and Nicola was always on at me, Caine, why I was never home and all the rest. I was just newly married. Do you know what? That kind of just came out of a bolt of a blue. And like, I'm very, very much an opportunistic person, and you know, things happen for a reason type guy. And you know what? I went home and had a good think about it. And I thought, you know what? If I do choose to go into the suits, you know, it has to be not on my terms, but I have to make sure that I want to make this work because, you know, I'm coming into a business that's already made, already set. My brother's in it. My brother was in it since 97, so he was in it for years before me. And you know, and I also had that pride thing too, Caine, because I was always fighting against going into the men's business, even though I worked there on my summers and I worked there at Christmas and I worked there any time I closed that workshop. I was up working for my dad and my brother. You know, there was the pride thing that it's not mine, it's theirs. Yeah. Do you know, and that was different. That was
like you're
hard.
Having to come into something which is already established.
It was hard. See, for my pride, that was hard because again, I was always trying to prove that, you know, Dad, I don't need you in your business. I can do it myself. Hence the reason why I was probably coming home with the big fancy cars and telling everybody the things were wonderful and it was flying whenever. It was just about working, but we weren't paying for the taxman of that, man. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was.
Can I ask, like,
yes.
Why weren't you paying the tax man?
Just again, not out of any not out of any bad scenario, just negligence. You know what, I will pay that next month, and then next month turns into next month, and do you know what I mean? And like again, I didn't rack up a whole load of debts, Caine, but we just weren't running the business right. If that makes sense, you know. And there was a lot of like we were such the wee body shop, excuse me, and it was so popular. It was a hangout for people. Like we were in there trying to work and make a business. Every day. That was, if you've ever seen Fast and the Furious, our workshop was just Fast and the Furious in Northern Ireland. Every single day of the week, it was just Skylines and Evos and Subarus and
everywhere.
Oh, everywhere. It was
bunch of smicks.
Oh, it was just smicks everywhere. But back then, smicks were cool. Do you know what I mean? Bangor Car Park and Portadown and Banbridge and all. That's what you did as an 18, 19, 20-year-old. That is what you did. If you didn't go out clubbing, you went to the car park. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what that the young generation does nowadays. Like
McDonald's.
Just flipping, sit and flick on the phone. We went out and hung out in car parks. And it was always about, you know, what new flipping spotter do you get this week? Or do you get a retrim or new speakers? It was the best days, Caine. Loved it. But it taught me a lot of, the business end of things taught me a lot of lessons. And whenever I got over my pride thing, and I thought, you know what? I can make a really good addition to the menswear business. I can come in here and I can really, you know, add to it. Whereas that was the hard bit for me. You know, how am I going to go into a business that my brother and my dad have run for years and done very successfully? How can I go and how can I add to this? Yeah. You know, I didn't just want to be a leech. I didn't just want to go in and you know buy my dad's share and just let my brother do his thing and I had to sit back and take the money. Yeah. You know, although that was talked about, and you know, me and my dad and brother we got around, had a chat, and William was like, you know what, Chris, see if you do come into the business with me, I'm just letting you know now, kid, because I'm the kid brother,
Yeah.
10 years younger than him. He says, I'm just letting you know now, it's not broke, so don't fucking fix it. You know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so, Caine, that was hard.
So we just had a break there. Chris, what I want to build on is you actually entering into the
Into the
Tailor
family
company.
business. Yeah, and what I could...
Like, what could, going into this, what did you think that you could offer which was missing from the business?
Yeah, well,
already?
so I stepped back and took a look at the business and tried to work out where I could fit in, because like anyone can go into any business, Caine, and just sit back, relax, and flip and take their share of the profit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that would have been the easy thing to do, but it's just not me. Do you know? And again, that was me kind of fighting with my pride too, Caine. About I'm a contributor, I'm a giver. That's the way I'm in life with everything, as you know. So the one thing that I did see the shortfall in when the business was the promotion, the marketing, and doing the custom tailoring, because you know there was a big push for custom tailoring back then, sort of end of the 2010s, or sorry, end of the 2000s, coming into the 2010s, and there was nobody over here doing it, you know. And I kind of took on the mantle within the business, the number one, promote it, because I say the wee business was good, and it made my dad a living, and it gave my brother a living. But it wasn't making a fortune, Caine. Like, you know what I mean?
There was 21st century.
It wasn't flying. So look, I did my bit. I came into the business, and I probably gave it a good year and a half of me just trying to work it out. You know, working with my brother. Dad was on his way out, so working with him, trying to work out how all the mechanics of the business worked. And then I started kind of ramping up the media, and about 2013, and I had already then started the custom tailoring, because back in the early 90s, you know, we did do custom tailoring, but then it got such a nightmare, it kind of tailed off, and we just went into the ready-made suits, which is just suits that are already made up, like everybody else. So I started getting back into the tailoring end of things, and the custom tailoring side, and that then kind of became my niche. So, you know, me and my brother actually kind of curved out two really good furrows within the business. He done more of the logistical side of the business and the actual accountancy side and the generally day-to-day running of the business. I took on the marketing side of things and the custom side of the business, and just becoming the face of the business as such.
And was he happy with that?
Yeah, he was, because Williams, my brother and I are very, very different. He's like, if we were a band, I'd be the lead singer, he'd be the drummer. You know,
he can see the bigger picture?
Well, he can, because he sees the money in his bank account every month now since I joined. So and you know, and that was lovely. And my dad and I did have a good chat about it, kind of, you know, 5 or 6 years after I joined, that, you know, it was probably the best move that we made as a family, was bringing me into the business and where I've then taken it to, because, you know, as a family and as a business, we've really done the last kind of 15 years has been our best 15 years, you know. So which it kind of gives me my bit of pride back, Caine, that I didn't just go into the family business and take it over and do my own thing. You know, my brother and I have worked together on it, hence is why it's Suitor brothers, and I love them to bits, and I love every day I work with them. Now, we fall out every now and again, as brothers do, but genuinely, me and him have the same aim, the same goal. It's to keep our family name up there, because we're really, you know, I can say we're really well respected within the tailoring game and within business, and that's a hard thing to achieve, but it's also really hard to stay up there, because people are always chirping at you, and they're always trying to cut you down. And you know, I still get it to this day, Caine. You know, because I do the TV stuff, I do the radio stuff, I do my social stuff. I'm always generally thereabouts. People are trying to cut me down and cut us as a business down, you know, left, right, and centre. And part of the biggest success is probably taking Suitor Brothers and Suitor Men's to a level and keeping it up there. So
I was going to ask you there, what is harder, or what was harder, reaching that standard or maintaining that standard? Yeah,
probably maintaining the standard, because when you go online and you put yourself out there, you know, you're open to criticism left, right, and centre. And that's one thing about a society that I hate, but it's just who we are as human beings, that we constantly want to criticise those doing well. And particularly, like, growing up in Northern Ireland, it's been really difficult to be successful in Northern Ireland, like, over the last, you know, 30, 40 years.
It's frowned upon more.
It was. I'm saying past tense, Caine, it was. But see, nowadays, I think it's due to, like, Rory McIlroy and all you know, all these really prominent figures. Carl Frampton, like, you know, come on. Carl is literally, between Carl and Rory, I think they've changed this country. We love to see our own do well, and I think that kind of sporting achievement has started to work its way into the business sector, because we now want people to do, you know, I think there's, let me rephrase that. I think there's now more people that want to see success in this country than to see failure. There still are those flipping sad sacks that want to see people fail, and there are sad sacks out there that literally cannot wait until I mess something up. Now it's not going to happen. I'm not going to. I'm hopefully never going to mess anything up. But there are sad sacks waiting to see me fail, which is sad. But there are many, 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 many more people out there that are happy to see me win. And again, the way I am in business too, I love seeing people win, Caine. I love seeing you do well. I love seeing your team, Maddie, and all the guys. I love seeing you doing well. And that kind of attitude isn't just unique now to me. I think it's unique across the generation that is us now. We love to see success. We love to see people doing well. And, that has allowed me to scale our business and take it to where it is. But it's made me want to keep it up there because it's now nice to get that gratification and have the gratitude of people, backing you and helping you out. And really, over the last 10 years, we've had so many people help us out, Caine, and I'm so grateful to them. The number one person who I've already mentioned, the number one person who I owe so much to is Carl Frampton.
Carl Frampton?
Yeah. So back then, right, so whenever social media was just starting to take off and influencers were a thing, like back then, influencers, Caine, were our sports people or our movie stars. That was the rate. Nowadays, like, there are influencers who just, like, sit in their house and make YouTube videos, who are more famous and more influential than your flipping, your George Best of the world. Do you know what I mean? So back then...
it's crazy to think about as well.
Isn't it crazy to think about it? Like, it really is. But back then, how it all started and how we kind of took our business to the level, or the social end of things to a level, was my big mate, Eamon McGill. Shout out to Eamon McGill.
Big Eamon McGill from the Old Park?
Yes, do you know Eamon McGill? He's a legend.
No, Eamon well.
Big Eamon's he's one of my oldest and bestest buddies. He loves a good slag, but he's some crack. McGill was friendly with Michael Conlon. Michael Conlon had just won the Amateur World Championship, first Irishman to do that. And he needed kitted out for an RTE thing, and he phoned me, says, "Suit, Mick Conlon loves his suits, would like you to kit him out for the RTE Awards, or the RTE interview."
Late Show, was it?
The Late Show?
I think I remember.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. He came into the shop, and we kitted him out, and that was my first kind of toe into kitting out a sports star or a celebrity or that sort of thing.
Was it a blue suit?
It was a blue suit.
I think I remember that interview, yeah.
So we kitted Mick out. Mick went on the RT, and obviously everything was all about Mick then because he was the first amateur world champion, which is incredible. And Mick then gave my number to Frampton, and Frampton phoned me like a week later after seeing Mick on the RT show and says, "Chris, see what you did with Mick. Can you do the same with me?" And Frampton came in, and actually, I give the big shout to two of them, both Carl and Mick, because the two of them then, for the next lot of years, really, allowed me to put whatever suits on them I wanted, and we kind of worked together, and they promoted. And you think having Frampton and Mick back then, our stock went from here as a 25-year-old reputable menswear shop to the place to be, and all of a sudden, anyone in Northern Ireland or Ireland were on my case. "Chris, can you do this? Chris, can you get me this? Chris," and it just went from strength to strength then, and the two of them, Mick and Carl, from then on, just really had my back. They're still wearing the stuff. In fact, Carl was out at the Ring Awards there just last week wearing all our stuff, and he always gives me a shout out.
Seen he got in the Hall of Fame there.
Yeah, Hall of Fame
for British boxers. Yeah,
what
100%.
a guy, and still to this day one of the most genuinely humble, lovely human beings that ever walked this earth. He is a gem of a wee man, like. Gem.
See, after that started the snowball effect where people started to come in. Was there anybody that came into you which you were like, whoa? Has there ever been anyone?
Yes, I've only ever been starstruck twice in my life, right? And I mean proper star. You're going to laugh this, Caine. Proper starstruck. The first one was Eric Cantona. Now, we didn't make anything for Eric, but he came into the shop and literally, I mean, fanboy, starstruck, Cantona. It's Cantona. I still get the flipping. I'm getting the feels even just thinking about him. It was Cantona, and then the other one, Owen Quigg.
Owen Quigg.
I remember Owen Quigg.
Yeah, from X Factor.
From X Factor.
Yeah.
Owen
from
Quigg.
Dungiven,
I remember Owen Quigg came into my shop because we were dressing all the Q Radio people, and he was part of the Q Radio team at that point in time, or just after X Factor, whatever it was. And I remember Owen Quigg coming into my shop, and I was just like, "I know Quigg, Quiggy, Quigg," and like this was way after the X Factor, like. And I remember there was the only 2 people I've ever been starred. I was like, oh, quick's in my shop. This is class. So, but no, after that, cheapers. You know what?
I'd say you're so used to them now. You're so used to celebrities that come in contact and stuff like that there.
And you know what the thing is, the 2, Caine, they're just all normal people.
Yeah.
You know, we as a race of humans put these, sports stars and celebrities and stuff like that up on this pedestal. Like they're different. They're no different than us. Like I remember down at Carl's house one night, measuring up and taping up and pinning a pair of trousers, and he literally farted in my face, like on purpose, for the crack. And I'm just thinking, I'm at Carl's Frampton House, and he just farted in my face, you cheeky bastard. But that was just the level, and I think part of
There's
the crack.
some weirdos out there like we pay for that.
I know there are, absolutely. You should do OnlyFans. But and I think part of our USP within our business, and as we are, Caine, we can make anybody feel at home and feel normal. And that's one thing that a lot of the sort of more famous people, if you want to talk about, have said to me a lot over the years. That whenever they come into the shop, or whenever I go to their office, or whenever I go to their work or their studio, whatever, I just make them feel like me and you here now, Caine, having a chat. And that's all. Because that's what it is. Just here to make you a suit, or here to get you measured up, or here to do whatever. It's just, I just treat them like normal people. And you get, what happens is then you build their confidence.
Yeah.
And then once you've built and you've got their confidence, they then recommend you to someone else. And then they recommend you to someone else. So it's a key business trait, I think, that me and my bro and our wee team in there have built, which is just authenticity. Just, we're honest.
Being yourselves.
We're sincere. It's my shit principle, right? To write this down. SHIT. Sincerity, honesty, integrity, and trustworthiness. That is our business ethos.
Shit.
Yeah,
You've heard it here first.
Yeah, I've heard it here first. That's the shit principle. And, it has definitely led and taken our business to a whole different level. It's just not trying to rob and not trying to stroke people, not trying to get out of someone more than what the transaction needs to be. Like if somebody's coming in for a suit, just give them a suit. Do you know what I mean? Get them tailored. Don't try and get more out of them.
Like add-ons
as to what you want. Let them come to me. Like whenever a high profile person comes in and gets a suit, I will let them lead to me whether they want me, number one, to talk about it, or number two, they want to put something out in their social channels for me. I let them do it. And see if they're not comfortable and I don't push it. And that's fine. And you generally find that kind of almost like reverse psychology type thing.
And they want to buy more. Yeah.
Chris, I love that experience and I love what you've done and love how you've made me look. Can I do a wee social media post? I'm like, 100%. Absolutely. Make it happen. So, yeah, shit principle, Caine. Make sure you write that down, brother.
I will do. Yeah. I'll have a clip, by the way, as well.
Yes, class. Good.
See, yourself, like, you come from a big family and you have, like, your, like kids, your wife.
Yeah.
How do you manage all these businesses while keeping a balanced life with your family as well?
Aye, that's a good question, Caine. And do you know what? I struggle with it. I don't struggle with the time management. I struggle with working out how I do it, Caine, because no joke, I find it relatively easy. And there are times where, like even there this morning, I spent all morning in the house making the kids their breakfast and watching a bit of TV. And
are they understanding?
Oh, totally. Yeah. But what I mean is, like, I'm not busy all the time.
Yeah.
Do you know, I find it easy. And I think maybe what I'm good at doing is compartmentalizing. I'm good at switching off, Caine.
Yeah.
And it's a trait you can learn. You know, you can learn through meditation. You can learn to, and mindfulness. You can really learn to switch your mind off on things, because part of what the pandemic of mental health issues nowadays is overthinking. You know, and it got me. I'm going to tell you about this game, which you think you know about my history. It got me in 2022, where I got so busy with stuff that I get out of the way of being able to relax. I was taking on far too much, and I got into this repetitive overthinking mode, which actually then led to burnout and a complete mental breakdown. It was terrible. But now I've found my way again as I used to be, which was able just to compartmentalize stuff. And you know, whenever I need to deal with the menswear shop, I deal with the menswear shop. Whenever I need to deal with the cafe, I deal with the cafe. Whenever I deal with the cottage, I deal with the cottage. Whenever I need to deal with the DJing, I deal with the DJing. I just compartmentalize it, and I've trained myself to not have to think, because like each and individual one of those wee business has all their issues, right? And if you think about all the issues at once, it can be very overwhelming. And yeah, it is something that you don't maybe necessarily learn straight away, but you just have to train yourself to. But I've got a good support team. Nicola, my wife, Nicola, she's my rock. Like she is, she's just my wee human, and we share everything. We're best mates. You know, We share everything. My big brother, William, again, he's Moroccan, the menswear business. You know, so I'm able to share stuff with him. The DJing's generally just all me, but that's fine. The cottage is all me, but that's fine. Yeah.
Are you able, like, I think being able to delegate is a
Yeah.
skill in itself, because a lot of people like to be hands-on and
Yeah.
maybe not trust others with
Yeah.
like their work because it can influence, like, well, impact them.
Yeah.
Are you, like, able to delegate yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know what? I have one thing that I have never been keen as a control freak. Yeah. If someone else can do that job for me, I let them do it. Generally, if you surround yourself with people that can do that job better than you, that's how your business grows. Like
Yeah.
the same within let's take the Suitor brothers as a point in case. My brother is just better at the logistical side of things, and what I mean by that is just the general running of the business.
Yeah.
You know, paying the HMRC and the VAT man on time. Do you know that lesson that I learned years and years ago? And just keeping the stock level where it needs to be, buying and ordering, you know, just all the general running of this. William is just better at me than that.
Yeah.
So he does that and does his
The
own
admin
thing.
king.
Absolutely, the admin. That's the word I was looking for. He does admin, and he's so good at it, and he loves it, and he writes dead neat, and everything's in the right colour. And,
Regimental, I'd
oh,
say.
my brother's OCD. In fact, he's CDO. He's OCD, but in alphabetical order, and everything is just lovely. Whereas I'm that wee bit more fluid. I'm the wee bit more. Just a wee bit more crazy with stuff, but that's kind of the kind of artistic flair side of things that helps you drive and imagine and push something forward, which is why Suitor Brothers has went so well, because I've had him to do his side, I've done my side, and that's taken the business to another level. Within the cafe, you see, again, it's compartmentalized as well. Nicola runs the front of the house, our partner, Chef Anna, runs the back of the house, and then I actually do all the admin stuff for Suitor and Co. So that's where we've got our 3 different separate parts, and that's what's helped the cafe grow. Look, I'm not as control freak. It's not all about me, Caine, as much as a lot of people, my haters out there think it is. It's not. If somebody else can do that job just as good, if not better than me, I'm happy enough to let them do it. And that's a key. That's a key trait in business. A key way to grow. Like, I can only really speak for smaller businesses, Caine. You know, I've never had a business with flipping 1,000 staff. You know.
Yeah.
So on smaller business, keeping it tight that way, if you can find people that can take a bit off your plate, let them take it off your plate, you know, and let the whole thing grow organically that way.
Would you consider yourself a leader?
Oh, absolutely, categorically, And I'm a lead from the front, Caine. Again, see, even down in the cafe, I will clean the bogs, I will brush the flipping floors, I will. See him in every business. I am the guy. Like, see if something's broke, I am the guy that fixes it. See if somebody has blocked the toilet, as I say, I'm the guy I'll go and push it in my hands, not their hands. You know, and I have there's no, back to that whole pride word again, I don't put myself above or below anybody. I like to try and think that we're all aiming for the same goal. And I think that's a key point whenever you're recruiting people. You want to get people that are on your same wavelength. Yeah. You know, if you hire someone that thinks they're above you, that's never going to work. But if you hire someone that thinks they're way below, that's going to take you more work because you're going to have to spend more time bringing them up to your level. So hiring and recruiting is very, very important. You got to get people that are on your wavelength. Hard to find, but you know, you can just keep going until you find your person, find your human.
Can you tell a person by their energy and their aura and kind of the vibe they bring?
Totally.
Would you look at that first before
maybe like their acumen and whatever's written down on a paper?
Yeah. Would you meet the person, feel their energy and their aura? And
I buy people as they are, Caine. And I like to think I'm a good reader of a human, and I've spent loads of years trying to work people out with their kind of their energy levels and stuff. And you can tell a lot about people just by looking in their eyes and seeing how we talk to each other, Caine. You know, you can generally just have a good nose. Nicola, my wife, thinks she's the best at this, by the way. See if Nicola watches this, like she literally
real detective.
She is a human detective. She's always trying to work out what everybody's at. I think they're at this and I think they're at that. So
there's always a meaning behind something.
Yes, that's
stuff
Nick.
Like
whereas
that
I'm not like that. I'm just happy to take people at face value, and you know, if I expect this of you, just do it, and that's it.
Like, I think that's like, it's one thing in life which I believe is energy. It doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Like someone can tell you something, but if you can feel in the energy, maybe the energy's off or it's on, you can kind of tell within the energy, which is really true.
I think just want to watch out for bullshitters these days, Caine. And it's a lot in the space that you and I both watch and are into. There's so much nonsense out there. Yeah. And there's even just over here, there's so many people that are still faking it till they make it. And a lot of them haven't made it. Some of them have made it. And I just, it's what's
Do you
one thing.
believe in that? Fake it to make it culture, kind of.
Oh, totally can, and it's still prevalent these days.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I try to portray a very simple, original, hard-working attitude to life. Just
Graft.
get up every day and graft. Yeah. Whereas there's lots of people out there saying, you don't need to graft. You just need to do this and do. There's no such thing as a free lunch, Caine.
Yeah.
There never has been. There's never gonna be. It's not gonna change. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And for me, the energy you put into something, that's the energy you should get back out of it. So the more energy you put in, the more energy you should expect to get back out of it. And it doesn't necessarily have to happen immediately. It can happen over time. But there's a lot of people that are just throwing bad energy out there, and that's all they're ever going to get back in,
You're very, very successful when it comes to business, whether you like to admit it or not. You've tried a business that's failed.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got multiple successful businesses as well. What habits or practices would you use on a daily basis that has contributed towards your success?
Yeah, it's a damn good question. So, lately, Caine, it has been my ability to compartmentalize all the different businesses.
Yeah.
And that has been honed by learning to meditate, learning my breath work, and learning just to slow down. So, touching on something, or something I touched on earlier, was back in 2022, Caine, I suffered burnout and suffered a full mental breakdown. And that was back then where things just got too much, Caine. I took on too much. I was just saying yes to everything. I was doing a lot of social media. I was doing all my business stuff. I was saying yes just to, no matter who. If somebody wanted me to drive to Cork and change their spare tire, I was that guy. Do you know what I mean? I go and do it. I do it. And that all got on top of me, Caine, and it was a terrible time in my life. Like August, I spent all of August 22 practically in my bedroom, just banging my head off a wall, wondering what the hell was wrong with me. And do you know what the worst of it was back then? There was nothing wrong as such.
Yeah.
Materialistically, there's I had the money, I had the house, I had the wife, I had the 2 kids, I had all the businesses. Literally had from the outside looking in, the perfect life. And it just goes to show, Caine, that it doesn't take you to have maybe lost someone, or it doesn't take you to have lost all your money, or to have had an accident or an illness. It doesn't take just that to make your mental health go down the drain. My mental health fell off a cliff because I had worked my body too hard and too long and not took the time to slow down and prioritize. And I got therapy and I read lots of books, and since then, Caine, I've become a much more better balanced person. And my ability to compartmentalize now is way more honed than it used to be, which is why I'm happy enough to take on more things now, like last year, like the boxing and like the new businesses, and I'm happy enough to take on these things because I know I can cope with them. I know I have the coping mechanism because, for me as humans, we can do so much. There's so much where our minds, like as the saying goes, I think we only use 15 or 16% of our brain power, and you can really tune in and hone it and work it like a muscle and make it better. But it's like anything. It's like doing squats. You're not just going to do squats 24 hours a day, and that's what I was doing back then with my brain. I was just working it all day, every day, and I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating well. I was just hammering myself, and I was on social media telling people to get up, get out, get at it, and not to sleep. I only need 4 hours sleep. Look what I can do. Check me out. I can run all these businesses, do all this stuff, and I can be there, I can be there, I can be everywhere, and check me out, aren't I cool? Until all of a sudden, boom, I fell on the ground and literally my whole body shut down, Caine. It was terrible.
Did you ever think it would happen to you? Did you ever
never thought it would happen to me, and see that whole thing about anxiety, and I was the guy, anxiety, flipping, wise yourself up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was it was a big life lesson, Caine. Big life lesson. But it took me since, it took me a good let me see, it was August 22. It probably took me until the January of 23, February of 23 before I was even anywhere near getting back up into a normal type of life. Like literally I went off the radar for months, Caine, and it was hard, and it was hard in my family. Like poor Nicola, she had to look after me. The kids and all were coming in, and I was literally just on my bed hugging my kids and crying, not knowing what was wrong. Doctors obviously just throw tablets at you, which thankfully I never took. I always had this thing in my head that I can sort this. I didn't know how to sort it, but I had it in my head that I could sort it. And I got a great therapist, and my therapist taught me through that term, slow down and prioritize. And we done sort of 3 months of therapy, and that was great. But the main thing that kind of turned me around, Caine, was reading a couple of books. One was Breath by Dan Brule. Breathe by James Nestor, and Wim Hof's book. You know Wim Hof, the
No.
guy that does the cold or does the cold dipping and the cold showers and the fancy breathwork method, and
Is that him that runs
marathons in the snow and all that
yeah.
sort of stuff? Yeah, that's Wim Hof.
That is insane because I actually saw a video of him up a mountain and he's running with no top on.
That's him.
I'm
That's
just
him.
like,
So read his book and just kind of tried to help myself, Caine, and that was so. Yeah, one of the things I'm probably most proud of, Caine, within my life, within me as a person, is the fact that I took charge and control of my own health, and my journey since then has been absolutely incredible. It's been hard. It's been very, very hard at times, Caine, but it's been very, very it's been probably some of the most happiest times of my life too. Which is just going on this journey about trying to fix and help myself. Can I say I get given the tablets, the azepams and the flipping whatever else the docs give you, and I didn't take them, and I knew that I could fix this, and I've got into this this lovely kind of period of my life where I micro-learn. You've heard of micro-learning?
No.
My whole kind of whole kind of downtime at the minute is filled with micro-learning. It's lovely. It's really.
So can you explain that there?
Yeah, I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid again learning.
Yeah.
And what micro-learning is just generally either whether it's reading books or on your phone or podcasts, which I'm a big podcast. I love listening to podcasts. And it's just micro-learning is just learning small things every day.
Yeah.
You know, and approaching it with what's called like a beginner's mind. So I listen to lots of health and well-being.
Absorbing it all like a sponge.
Just learning things about myself and learning things about the human body and learning things about society, and you know that's where I've kind of filled the void where I used to be working all the time and always pushing myself to do lots and lots of different jobs at once and show everybody how flipping cool I was. Now I'm filling myself with downtime, and I say this micro learning journey where I listen to Darius CEO and listen to Gary Brecka's podcast and Huberman and Jay Shetty and all these really wonderful people, Caine, that are just trying to make us better humans.
Yeah.
So since then, since the breakdown in 22, I have learned, how to breathe, because we actually with my therapist and stuff, then Paul, we actually had to deconstruct where my stress and where my pressure and where the burnout came from. And it came from number one with me becoming my own avatar, which is a term he used, which was very good, which is where I wasn't being myself. I was being Chris Suitor on Instagram.
Yeah.
I was always trying to be that Instagram guy, get up, get at it, and, you know, don't sleep, and,
Playing up to the crowd.
playing up to the crowd type thing. Where he then taught me to be, you know, try and revert back, you know, still be that, you know, because you still need to be 10% or 20% of your life still needs to be that, because that's the marketing part of all our business, right? But, you know, try and be 80% authentic to yourself, which is where I am now. And the micro-learning thing has been one of the key takeaways for me, which is just trying to learn something new every day, Caine, and filling myself, instead of flicking on TikTok, looking at all this bullshit of, you know...
It's dangerous at TikTok.
Do you know, like, I was watching, I was seeing Nicholas on TikTok the other night, and it's, you know, two men dancing with each other and, you know, flipping, do a bit of music, and I'm just going, like... You've just spent 5 minutes watching these two dudes dance and do this funny dance. It's funny, right?
Yeah.
I get it. But
could have been more productive.
What's actually done for you apart from, like, you know, just media probably flipping, I don't know, made you more stupid or something? Do you know what I mean?
What's the most interesting thing that you've learned in the last month?
Oh, in the last month, let me see. In the last month,
you've taught yourself, like,
yes. So that many, if not most, of our diseases come from a mitochondrial disorder, which comes through having too much glucose, which comes eating too much calorie-rich, calorie-dense food, which comes from eating too much ultra-processed, calorie-rich food. Now, we can get down a whole health and well-being this again, but literally would need to shoot this again. But anyway, if anybody wants to look into it, mitochondrial dysfunction or metabolic syndrome, right? It is the evidence is so heavy to show that that's where the vast majority of our cancer, of our neurological issues, of all disease within the human body comes from this thing called mitochondrial dysfunction and metabolic syndrome. Incredible. Google it. Honestly, change your life. Now, on that note, Caine, I still struggle every day with my food. One of the things that I am a foodie. I'm addicted to food. I'm addicted to ultra-processed food. I'm addicted to chocolate and sugar and all that crap. So I'm struggling at the minute with this, right? I'm micro-learning every day about what not to eat, how to go about your life with exercising more and drinking plenty of water and eating good foods and whole foods and all that sort of stuff. Caine, I still can't get I'm telling you, I still can't do it.
You're educating yourself on it all, and then you're just fuck it.
So this is I'm in a good place mentally at the minute, but if there was any route for depression for me, it's my own journey with eating too much shit. Like I was in Sugar Ray's last night, and I'd already had pizza for lunch and a scone for breakfast, and I'm at Sugar Ray's last night.
Should have done it in reverse. Pizza for breakfast,
yes.
scone for lunch.
I'm looking at it going, right, I've got these wraps and I've got all these chips, and I'm looking at it going, there's none of this is food. It's all chemicals and it's all ultra processed and it's all food-like stuff. And I'm just munching, oh my god, but it tastes so good. Do you know? And I've got this microbiome in my gut, which is another thing we can talk about, Caine, ever, or something on another one, which is the gut-brain axis.
Yeah.
And the fact that your gut and your belly, that's your second brain, like 95% of your neurotransmitters, which are the things that make your brain work, are made in your gut. Right? So what does that tell you?
What you're putting in your body, well...
There you go. What you're putting in here is what is made down there, which what goes up and which makes this function, right? So see, there's so many evidential studies done that for people out there that have got depression or anxiety or neurological issues, the vast majority of a lot of their problems come down to what they're eating. Do you know what I mean? And what they're putting in their body and this and what's in their gut. And like you think of I forget what the percentage is, but the amount of bacteria, we're actually more bacteria than we are human. There's more bacteria in our body than there is actually human DNA. Do you know, that's we don't think we're human. We're only part human. Yeah. The rest of the part, we're flipping part bacteria. And these wee bacteria need fed. And at the minute, Caine, I'm still struggling with the whole eating thing. The boxing was good for me last year because it gave me a focus to eat well and train well. And that is the best I've felt in years.
You were sharp.
I was sharp. I still get beat. Like Andy Malone still beat me, but
then again, he was like 10 kg heavier.
He was more. I was 2.5 stone, so 12 or 13 kg heavier, 4.5 inches taller, and 6 inches longer reach. You know what? I have to tell you, this is dead funny, right? So see, whenever I took that fight on, I honestly thought Andy Malone was about 5'8". Don't ask me why, right? I thought he was at this side. No, I knew he was a big lad, right? But I'm thinking, he's fat. I'll be taller than him. I don't care if he's bigger. I'll flip and, punch and move. I'll bang a life at him. So we'd already agreed to fight over the phone. And I then went to meet him in the Fitzwilliam Hotel. And the minute I walked in, I seen him sitting down. I thought, fuck, he looks bigger than what I thought. But I still thought he was going to be 5'8". He then stood up and says, right, Suitor, do you want a coffee? And he stood up and I was like, what fuck's sake? Have I got? Because he's like 6'2".
Nicholas, come get me.
He's a monster. And I was like, what have I done? And at the end, he had a load of weight on him. I'm going, oh, Jesus, Suitor, you get yourself into some...
He's down to about 88 now.
Aye, he's looking real sharp. He's got himself well down and he's got his mind's in a good place. And like me and him still talk now. That's one thing out of the whole thing. But that was probably one of the ballsiest things I ever done, Caine, was, go through with the fight. Like, I knew he was a monster, but I knew I could beat him. And I actually think, not that I'm calling him out again, right? But I actually think if we did it again, I'd have a good chance of beating him. Because, he probably thinks the same. Because, see whenever you're in the boxing ring for the first time, you learn so much. And I didn't perform that night as I know I can. Yeah. And I know I would be a completely different guy. No matter who I fought, if I ever did to do it again, which I'm not, I'd be a different kind of guy. So...
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Yes, I know.
Is to get back in the ring?
No, I put out a wee thing on my Instagram the other day, like, who should I fight this year? And there's a load of people put in flipping the bird again, and Nico, we met Nico, and Stephen Nolan with somebody. But Caine, see what it did to my family. I would never put them through that again.
Serious?
Because they obviously knew that me and Andy, there was hatred there at the start. Like, me and Andy did hate each other. And they knew, particularly Nicola, knew the previous as to why we even got in this spot. Yeah, it was hard on Nicola. It was terrible on Nicola and the wee kiddies and stuff too, because they're thinking my daddy's going to get beat up. It wasn't good for them and the family and stuff. It wasn't.
Were they there?
Yeah, my dad and my brother went, and Nicola was there, but she wouldn't watch. But it was the pressure. I remember the lead up to it. Like, Nicola barely spoke to me in the week running up to it. She was just worried.
Nerves,
just worried. Just worried about me,
Understandable as
well. And right enough. And then see, whenever we get into the ring, I don't know if you remember, Caine, if you've seen it, but I had him. See, in the first 30 seconds of the first round, he was gone. I jabbing a right cross and literally I bust his nose open. He
I
was in no
rewatched
man's
it about
land.
2 days ago.
Oh my god, it was incredible. I had him going, but then what happened? I got the adrenaline rush. I thought this is great, this is easy, and went for him. And then literally this big rush of adrenaline comes over you, and you get what's called the adrenaline dump. And my arms dropped, and I couldn't. Like I was only in 30 seconds.
Gassed.
I could barely lift my arms up to cover myself, and he hit me with this big flipping either a left or a right. Anyway, the first time he hit me, I remember thinking, "Holy shit! Did I just get hit by a car?" Do you know what I mean?
Gloves?
10-ounce gloves.
10.
Oh, that was Andy being Billy Big Balls, making us wear 10s. So he hit me, no head guards, as you know, 10-ounce gloves, and he hit me an absolute stonker. And I then remember there's something clicked in my brain at that point in time that, as you know, Caine, when you get punched, the whole world goes white, and then your ears start to ring a wee bit. And I'm thinking, holy shit, I could die here. Do you know what's the thing? This is so dangerous. I'm like, what are we doing wearing these gloves? Because I felt every one of his knuckles, bang, and I was like, what am I doing? This guy's massive, and he's gonna flip and beat the crap out of me. I never want to go through that again. Caine, nah, I never want to go through it again.
100%.
I know. So, but it was, you know what? It was a bucket lister. I wanted that.
Yeah, great experience, great night, and
yeah,
it was just the entire experience. And then
I'm just coming to watch you next time. I'm coming to support you in your corner, mate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I remember, so I was saying to the lads there before, obviously going on like into the fight, into the night, I was Team Malone because he brought me onto the event. He's the one that sorted me and was ringing me when I was away in Lebanon and stuff like that. They were just yarning away. But I was walking down the stairs to go to my fight, and you shouted, "Team Grogan, go on, Team Grogan."
Right.
And I was going into myself, I was like, we internal battle going, oh my God, who am I to support? Right. I was going, who do I support here?
Yeah. But, you know what? Here, great experience. Again, bucket list or tick, Caine, and one of the things about me, I do set myself goals. I think goals are very important for everybody, whether they're this size or whether they're flipping this size. I think goals are very, very important, and it's important to try and make them, but it's also, I think, important not to let them take over your life, Caine.
Yeah.
And because, again, we hear a lot about all these online mentors and courses and stuff. It's all about goals, and you gotta meet your goals. You know, nobody ever talks. I think it's okay if you don't. Do you know what I mean? It's okay if it doesn't work this year. Do you know what I mean? You've always got next year.
Because if you don't achieve it and you've tried, at least you've got something out of it. You know what I mean? You're closer to where you were than before.
And for me, with the fight too, it was more about me. Like, I remember I said it in one of the interviews at Toronto, so it's me versus me, and Andy goes, it's going to be an easy one for you, Suitor. Fucking you versus you. Like, I know, you're not even going to win that, you know.
That interview was mad.
I was hilarious.
Mad.
But I actually thought me and him were going to get into a fight at the end of it. It was brilliant. That whole thing, I was just happy that I stuck to the eating, I stuck to the working out, I stuck to everything Ryan Burnett told me. I walked into the ring, I'd done the ring walk in front of everybody, and I gave a decent show.
Great song,
you know,
choice.
I was brilliant.
Belfast Child.
With Kieran McCauley done my remix. He's one of my best buddies. Kieran's a superstar DJ, and he done me a remix. Had all the gear, the gloves, and the short. Do you know what, Caine? It was brilliant.
Great night.
Now, and I wish I'd beat him. Yes. But I actually think the best thing for the both of us was that he won, because I don't think his ego could have coped with me beating him. Whereas mine can. I am that guy. I am a giver. As I said, I can let people win. I can let people beat me, and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
And you know, the way we both spun it afterwards with the friendship and stuff, and you know, it was a really good way to end the whole thing. It was like, you know what, we had our issues. It was fine. We got into the ring, punched the shit out of each other, got out of the ring, shook hands, but you know what? Let it all go.
Straight to Thompson's after.
I know. Pizza, me with the black eyes and everything, and oh dear. Yeah, it was so
question
strange.
which I'd love to ask you, just because to do with mental health and to do with business.
Yes.
So what advice would you give a young entrepreneur about maintaining a good mental health state while pursuing success?
Love that, Caine. And again, I think I've touched on it during this chat, which is learning to compartmentalize and learning to slow down. You know, the whole compartmentalizing thing. See, when you're with your family and with your friends, be with your family and be with your friends. You know, take that time to split things up in your mind. And if you need to work on that, you need to work out tools and stuff to do that. Learn to meditate and learn to breathe. See, the breathing thing, Caine, like part of where my whole breakdown came from was my body. I had asthma since I was 5 years old. I was taking inhalers for 35 years. My body had become used to breathing very, very shallow.
Yeah.
And I used to only breathe in the top half of my lungs. And what I then have came to learn is that's where all your sympathetic nerve endings are. And what your sympathetic nervous system does, that's your fight or flight. So that's the bit where whenever you're a caveman and you seen a lion coming for you, you started to breathe shallowly, and that zapped all the nerve endings in your lungs, which told your body to release the cortisol and the adrenaline to your muscles, so you could run like fucking get away from that lion, right? So our body is built to have the sympathetic nerve endings in the top part of our lungs. The parasympathetic system, which is your rest and digest part, they're in the lower part of your lungs. But for years, due to the asthma, or what I thought was the asthma, I learned to breathe shallow. So I was always firing those nerve endings and those synapses, right? So my body was in a consistent state of alert. The cortisol and the adrenaline, I was wired. People used to wonder why I was so wired. I was wired all the time, Caine. And even if I only slept 2, 3, 4 hours, I woke up in the morning, get up, get out, get at it, let's go. Every day. And there was the reason, because the body was just living on this shorter breath, this sympathetic state where I was in fight or flight practically all day, every day. Like my resting heart rate at night when I tried to go to sleep was in the 90s. That was me. But that was me, as I thought, chilled out in the 90s. My resting heart rate nowadays is in the 50s. I've dropped it by, I think, 37 beats a minute. Learning how to breathe and learning how to meditate, you know? And like the whole meditation thing, this isn't, sitting with your legs crossed, in a flipping mountain in Tibet, and about some guy banging a gong. I literally do a thing called the Calm app. If anybody that's watching the podcast wants to know more, send me a wee message. I do the Calm app. I do 10 minutes every day. Sit in my room, in my front room, headphones on, 10 minutes, and I just sit there and listen. And I go through a breathwork session then after that for about 7 or 8 minutes, Wim Hof style. And that's me, Caine.
So 20 minutes a day?
20 minutes max
in the morning.
And it's all. And that just releases all the flipping built up stress and pressure and cortisone and adrenaline, and just lets everything dissipate. And that sets me into a really good way for the day. On the asthma note, I have since then completely cured my asthma. I have no more asthma, Caine. Learning how to breathe. And again, isn't that incredible? Yeah, I was asthmatic for 35 years. I now take no inhalers. I take no steroids. I can't remember the last time I had a cold. With all these respiratory illnesses and stuff going about at the minute, I was the first guy every time to get a chest infection. I had antibiotics probably 3 times a year for 30 years straight. So you think again what that was doing to my gut microbiome and stuff and all. I was just reliant on these antibiotics, and this all led up to that breakdown in August 22. Where the sympathetic nervous system was on fire, and I had just literally hammered myself for years with steroids and Ventolin and all these bronchodilators to try and make me breathe, when actually I just didn't know how to breathe, Caine. I'm not actually sitting too good at the minute. I didn't know how to open up my thoracic cavity and my lungs and really take proper deep breaths in where your belly goes out, Caine, and you suck your lungs down and they expand. Like, see the minute you say to someone, take a big deep breath in, 99 out of 100 people are going to go like this. Now look what they've done. Yeah. Look where their belly is. Their belly's sucked in. Their chest is pumped up and they've kind of stretched up. But all they've done by sucking their belly in is squash up the diaphragm, which squashes up the lungs. And they actually haven't taken a big deep breath at all. A deep breath is, which is chest out, thoracic cavity down, and really get the breath down, deep down in the lungs. Now that's what's happening whenever I'm doing that. That is pinging all those baroreceptors that are in your lungs that then are attached to your parasympathetic nerves, Caine, which are telling my body to calm the fuck down. And again, for any entrepreneur that's trying to go about their business and wants to really level up and scale up, I would say number one lesson for me at the minute is learn how to slow down.
How to slow down.
Isn't that amazing? So instead of teaching them to, chase every lead and, do your 3 videos a day on your social media and literally get on the phone, the first thing I'm telling them to do is let's think of the long game. We're here for a long time, Caine. Do you know what I mean? You need longevity, and to build longevity, you got to look after your body. You got to look after number one. So
your health is your wealth.
Your health, totally. It is, Caine, I learned it because, see, whenever I was literally in my bedroom for 35 or 30, whatever it was, 33 or 34 days in a row, I didn't know if I could have got back out of it, Caine. There was days in there where I was so low and so down, I didn't know if I was going to get back out of my bedroom. But so going forward, the best way that I have been able to grow myself and been able to grow then the wee business, the business network, is by learning to be able to compartmentalize and to be able to slow the hell down and just really enjoy your downtime, enjoy just being on your own, enjoy being with your family, enjoy your health, enjoy your fitness, eat a bit better, which I'm struggling with, but I'm going to work at it this year, and just really kind of look after yourself. So I bet you nobody's ever said that before.
No, that's, I didn't expect it. I expected something completely different.
So instead of learning how to speed up, Learn how to slow
So
down
right.
and learn how to slow down before you go for the real big heavy speed up.
Yeah.
You know.
2 questions just to finish us off.
Yes.
The first one is a quick one.
Yes.
Do you love Gary Doherty?
I love Gary Doherty. Did he say he loved me?
He just asked me to ask you if you love him.
Very good. Me and Gary, big mates. Gary, one of the things I can say, if you had to put a gun to my head and said, can you give me one thing about Gary Doherty? He has a massive heart. He only wants the best for anyone he meets. Number one, he's very, very...
Gentleman. Absolute gentleman.
He is very, very prominent about he wants all the money for himself. And not all the money. Sorry, he wants all the riches that life can provide for himself. He's very much about himself and his family, but he is also equally about everybody else.
Yeah.
Gary's got a great
gold.
heart, and I back him. I think Gary's a good lad.
So you done a talk, like obviously doing these here, I do my research and stuff
Yes.
like that there. You done a talk for the Think Network,
Yes.
Think Down in Derry, about resilience.
Yes.
What does resilience mean to you?
Resilience. Oh, it's good question, Caine. Resilience to me means whenever you get knocked down by anything alone in front of hundreds of people, to stand back up again and go again. And that's one thing about going back to the boxing. Like, he knocked me down 3 or 4 times, and every single time I got back up. Because you know what? Yes, you got knocked down, but you know what? It's no big deal.
You get back up again.
You just get back up again, Caine.
That's about
and
it.
that's
That's
life. That goes across business, across your personal life, across your mental health, across everything. See, if you get knocked back down, just get back up. And that's what real resilience is. And again, it's something, Caine, that I worry about with the younger generation too, that we're not really teaching them how to be resilient. And my generation is probably the first of that generation that got it a little bit easier. And my brother's generation didn't have the easiest time. My mum and dad's generation, they had dad's family, had nothing, Caine. I mean that. They were so poor, and they were, they built a solid resilience. But yeah, resilience to me says if you get knocked down, just get back up.
Smile in the face of adversity.
Absolutely, Caine.
Is,
and you can train yourself to be more resilient. You can train your mindset, and for me, it comes back to that same thing I said before, which is knowing how to slow down and be with yourself.
Yeah.
If you can learn how to get yourself into a good space first, being selfless or being selfish is the first step to being selfless. That's key. You gotta look after yourself, and I'm a big fan and a big promoter of self-health. And I think that's where resilience is built. Whenever you get to know yourself and you really look after yourself, you eat well, you exercise, you micro-learn. Love that micro-learning thing, Caine, if people can take anything away. Learn stuff. Have a beginner's mind, have that kind of childlike attitude to life where listen to podcasts and read books and read websites on your phone or whatever that actually teaches you wee small things. Do something every day, and keep filling your brain with good stuff. That, for me, helps build yourself. And a really strong self is a resilient self. So yeah, I think that's where I'm on that.
Well, I just want to thank you as well, because Chris actually got Ryan Burnett to come onto the podcast.
Come on, Ryan.
We've been wanting to get Ryan Burnett on for quite
cannot
some time.
wait to hear that.
So thank you very much. And
Caine, if you're talking resilience, there is nobody that I know. In fact, yeah, you put a gun to my head now. There's nobody that I know more resilient than Ryan Burnett and Ryan Burnett's story. Yeah, so I can't wait.
I'm very looking forward to hearing it as well, especially with our audience. The boxers always get a really good reception, a good audience. But I just want to say thank you very much, Chris, for coming on. Thank you for coming down. This is going to be the first one uploaded in our new studio here, so it's going to be quality. And I'd say I would love again to get you on probably within the next few months again and just talk about a whole load of different stuff as well.
Caine, because I've got a really huge, massive thing coming up here. I'll be able to talk about it around May time. Which it's not business directly, but for me it's massive, and it's something that I've kind of been teetering on the edges of over the last couple of years, and I'm now just going to put my time. I'm going to put my time where my mouth is. So that's the clue. Well, put my time where my mouth is. So
we've got our schedule free, or our recording days all sorted out really up until May. So I'll send you over the dates and we'll get you even booked in now.
Good lad.
Bro, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Very good. Thank you.
No, yeah.